Are you on the lookout for the latest tips? Tips on saving time, tips on saving energy, or tips on saving money? Well, you might guessed it, this show is on tips, but embroidery tips, where you will save time, energy, and money when adding computerized embroidery designs to fashions, gifts, and decor. Kate Brzezinski is our guest. She's our resident embroidery expert and is here to share 12 of her top embroidery tips. Kate, I happen to know that you embroider every workday, and you have a wealth of information.
Well, it was very difficult and a challenge to select just 12 tips for our two-part series. So, Nancy, I'm hoping that our expert and beginner embroiderers will pick up tips that they can apply to their own projects.
The top 12 embroidery tips, that's what's coming up next on Sewing with Nancy.
Sewing with Nancy, TV's longest-airing sewing and quilting program with Nancy Zieman, is made possible by Baby Lock, a complete line of sewing, quilting, and embroidery machines and sergers. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Madeira, specializing in embroidery, quilting, and special effect threads, because creativity is never black and white. Koala Sewing Cabinets, hand-built in the USA by American craftsmen, customized for you. Clover, makers of sewing, knitting, quilting, and embroidery products for over 25 years. Experience the Clover difference. Amazing designs and Class A needles.
Our first embroidery tip, unstitch first, embroider second, is used when adding a design to a ready-made pocket. Since through this series we're going to be working with a computerized sewing machine, I thought I'd give a quick review of the components of a computerized machine. You'll have a separate unit that you attach to your computerized machine to make it computerized embroidery, and you'll find designs on the internet, you'll find them at your favorite store, they'll be on a CD, and you'll transfer the various designs onto a memory stick or your favorite means of transferring the design and place this into your machine. When I turn on my machine and I draw up the design, you'll see on the LCD screen the design and all the thread colors that are involved in creating. We're going to make a water bird, first of all, design. You'll see all the thread colors, or numerous thread colors. But before doing the embroidery, you'd need to set up your machine with an embroidery needle and then also select your favorite threads. Get them in the range of colors that you would like to make the design. I just grabbed two of the many designs or thread colors we'll need. Your fabric and a stabilizer, a supportive fabric, is hooped in the special hoop, and then everything is put together. So it's a computer attached to your sewing machine, and then you're ready to sew. And as I press start and begin, you can see this close-up of beginning to stitch, and after every stitching, I'd simply change the thread. This is a quick summary, Kate, of what we'll be going through today, but we'll be using all of these segments or steps as we sew. And Kate, our first technique, you can see on this pocket, is we unstitch first, embroider second.
That's right. Pockets are a perfect palette for embroidery, but you do need to release the pocket almost completely from the shirt. Take the stitches out from the wrong or underside of the shirt, leaving the top stitching threads intact. You want to match a sewing thread before you even start your embroidery. You might think at first glance that the thread needed is white. It isn't. No. It's a lighter bluish gray color, which I've selected, and it's almost a perfect match. I'll set this aside, and then I'll clip these threads before I start stitching. But I've left the bar tacks at the very top of the pocket intact so I can perfectly position my pocket when the stitching is done.
Because early on, we removed the whole pocket earlier in our embroidery careers, and it's almost virtually impossible to get it matched exactly.
Right, so keeping those bar tacks intact is a good thing. And I have a paper-backed sticky stabilizer that I'm using, and we've removed the paper backing to expose an area that's the planned perfect size of the pocket. I can then place the pocket accurately
While Kate is finishing positioning her pocket on the stabilizer, I might want to mention that she has all her thread color in the machine for the first stitching, and it's of the pond.
Right, we are going to start the water, and it'll start in the center area of the pocket, and as we go we would continue switching colors when the machine told us it was time to change colors.
So once you get it positioned, most of your work is finished.
That's right. Then you get to reattaching the pocket. Here we have the pocket completed, or a completed pocket. I have now pinned the pocket in place. I had the bar tacks to guide me at first, and then lining the pocket with, you can kind of see the shadowing of where the pocket originally was stitched.
And here's a close-up of restitching that pocket. Match your stitch length to the stitches, the holes between the stitches on the unsewn pocket. And after you have done the stitching, then you will see that it's really a beautiful pocket. We add a few little crystals, but that way you can utilize the pocket, have a beautiful embroidery, and enjoy wearing it. Tip number 2 applies to embroidering small projects. When an item can't be easily flattened out, use our inside-outside embroidery tip. We're going to work with 2 items here to show you this rather unique way of placing fabric onto embroidery hoop. Kate embroidered this tote, and you can see she's going to put her knitting in here, but to flatten out a ready-made tote, to place it on a stabilized hoop, just is almost impossible unless
you turn it inside out. And I have the same style tote turned inside out. You can see the closures. What I have done is marked the center of the area that I'd like to embroider so that I can easily line it up on the hoop. Now again, I'm using a self-adhesive paperback stabilizer, so we'll remove an area.
You score the top paper, and that exposes the tacky surface.
And it makes it very easy for holding a very difficult large object. And being canvas, the tote is a little stiffer. And we're going to line up, and it might be a little difficult to see because this tote is taking up space. But when this actually stitches, I'll remove my marking pin. As the embroidery stitches, I'm actually going to hold the tote away from the presser foot so that it does not get in the way, and we'll begin stitching.
And Kate aligned that pin with the center marking on the hoop.
Right.
So that she would get it aligned. And it embroiders by itself, but you'll hold the tote.
Right, just to be safe. I don't want the handle to get caught underneath the presser foot at all.
And we'll just let you embroider, and I'll show another technique of working with a small garment item. We have a child's sweatshirt that has been turned inside out, and because it stretches, we have pressed on a stabilizer to prevent the knit from stretching. And I'm going to put everything underneath the presser foot. Now, placed in my embroidery hoop is a stabilizer that's water activated. When I dampen it, it becomes tacky. And as I'm nesting the fabric around the machine itself, around the foot, I'm exposing the right side of the sweatshirt. And now all I need to do is dampen, I have a damp sponge, dampen the stabilizer, and then position, attach everything in place. I'll lower this foot, and then I would begin to embroider right in this little nest area of the right side. And Kate, you've been embroidering for a little bit, and you have a couple of the letters.
Well, actually just one letter. It's taking a little longer than we figured, but it won't be long, and we will have a tote completed.
So our inside-outside technique works with big items, small items, but it's a great time saver. Number 3 of our top embroidery tips, One Design, Many Looks, showcases how thread colors can expand any design. When you see Kate's embroidery, you know that she embroiders every day and enjoys it, because you have totally enhanced this, made a palette on the back of this jacket, and it is really only several designs.
That's right. This is a holiday kind of extravaganza, so we did quite a bit of embroidery. We're looking at the corner design right here with the 3 little people and the ribbon garland. The original stitch out, what we call a stitch out, is a sample. You can see the colors are pretty much identical between the shirt and the original. We did a mirror image for the opposite side, and you can see where we've made very different color changes to change the clothing of the little people.
So your embroidery will call for certain colors, and you have the flexibility to do the changes.
That's right. You are the designer, the artist. So here we have another sample. This was one angel, and we've altered the hair and skin color to give 3 different looks, and then also we did change the size a little bit. But again, a very easy way to use one design for many different looks.
And we showed you some holiday designs, but let's look at some very traditional, beautiful designs. And this is the embroidery, the way it was designed by the artist.
That's right. That's the original coloration.
So now we will take a monochromatic look at it. And I guess I should point it this way. How's that, Kate?
And you can see a lot fewer colors. This design actually only used 6 colors, where the original coloration was more like 10 or 12.
So you can repeat some of the colors wherever you'd like. And
Right.
then you even have a third option, where this has, obviously in the plums and greens, some of my favorite color combinations.
It is a popular color combination, and it looks extremely elegant and rich. And this is a sample, so sometimes your samples don't always look perfect, but that's why
I think
you
it looks
stitch.
quite well. So change the thread colors as an embroidery tip. You can't go wrong with that idea. Our 4th tip will expand your embroidery options. Learn how to skip over thread colors for greater flexibility. And our first tip of today, unstitch, embroider second, you saw that Kate embroidered this pocket on the shirt. Well, she used the motifs or the embroidery designs throughout the project by adding a hemline accent. Look at the water bird here, and then the water birds on the right side of the shirt. They're the same birds because she skipped over the stitches of some of the pond and also the legs of the embroidery. Now when we look at the embroidery stitch outs, just what the actual design was, you'll see that Kate's going to work with these 2 designs, the lily pad and the bird. But the bird will be rotated, and she's going to bypass or skip all the embroidery that's in the lower portion so that that bird looks like it's swimming away.
That's right. I've merged the 2 designs right on the computer area, editing area of the sewing machine. I've already stitched the base or background water and lily pad, and I'm ready to begin stitching on the bird. It had been rotated already before I began stitching. Right here you can see on the screen I have the dark color of the first of 3 colors of the water. I'm going to actually skip all 3 colors of the water and also the legs. They're yellow, they're very pale, so you probably don't see them in the screen. We'll skip that color and we're at white. Again, that'll be hard for you to see on the screen, but let's get the machine stitching so you can see it on the fabric.
Now you're stitching over the lily pad design, so you really need to change your threads and, change your needle.
Right, it's always good when you're doing several layers of stitches on top of each other to start with a fresh needle.
And the legs of the design are not being stitched out, just the body of the water, or the body of the bird, excuse me, so you just stitch over.
Right.
If we take a look at the finished embroidery, because it does take a while to stitch this out. You just saw the beginning portion of it. As we look at this bird that's swimming, portions of it have been changed, and it's the same design just by skipping over those techniques. Another option is to just only stitch the outline. Here on this shirt, the black shirt, we have used of the embroidery only the outline stitches. And it works so well on knit fabrics not to have that fill in, but yet it gives a very appropriate look. So you can just use portions of the design, not the whole thing. Obviously that wasn't a water bird, but that was a floral design on that black shirt, but it just shows you can choose what portion of the design you'd like to work with. So for our 4th tip of skipping over stitches, you can expand your embroidery potential. Tip 5, eco hooping, shows you how to economize when using rolled stabilizers. Use this eco-friendly tip for big or small embroidery projects. We have a big embroidery project here. Kate, you have a perfect setting on this wall quilt, lap quilt for the embroideries with wild horses.
Thank you, Nancy. The Southwest kind of style of the quilt is appropriate for wild horses. We have 2 large panels that have been embroidered with wild horses, 1 piece of fabric, and we used 1 roll of stabilizer. Normally, I would have said at least 2 rolls of stabilizer would be needed. But with eco hooping, we were able to use just 1 roll.
Now, just as a refresher, most of the time when you are hooping a stabilizer and placing fabric on top of it, as we worked with early in the program, you're going to cut the stabilizer just a little bit longer than your hoop, place it in, and this is the water-activated stabilizer. You would embroider in this place, and then all of this would be for naught. But in Kate's idea, the hooping, we have the long piece of fabric that has been cut and placed on the stabilizer, but look at the end of the stabilizer.
This is the roll of stabilizer. This is a complete roll, actually. And there are many different types of stabilizers that can be purchased on the roll.
Almost every type of stabilizer, whether it's a mesh or it's a water-activated or a tearaway, there are many types. You can get it like this.
Right. What we've done is we've embroidered the first section of the panel that you saw a little earlier. Nancy is tearing it away. It's almost completely released, and we don't have to be necessarily neat. What we're going to do, and I'm going to get the roll out of the way, we're going to pop the inner hoop out, and it might stick a little bit.
I'll take care of that.
Okay. What we need to do is do just a little bit of light pressing. It doesn't need to be a hot iron, and particularly with certain stabilizers, you do not want a very hot iron. Just warm enough to flatten the end that's been crimped in the hoop. And we've got that flat enough there.
Now, normally you would hoop a stabilizer or fabric on a flat, not an angled surface.
Right.
So we're not going to have the best
No,
results
but
here.
we will do our best. And I line up the inner hoop or outer hoop underneath.
Now here's and we're not wasting 4 to 6 inches.
No, we're saving stabilizer. And then this is going to be very snug because we did not loosen up our...
And so we have, you can see that you would cut this portion off, the used portion, and just keep the roll and tuck it underneath your machine so that it's not in the way of the embroidery. And that way you're not wasting any of your stabilizer. Tip number 6 is press with care. A bath towel is the key to this simple yet valuable tip. You're going to end up pressing your embroidery after you've taken it out of the hoop. And Kate, we're going to show the way not to press first and then show you the correct way.
That's right. As you can see, these are beautiful, beautiful satin stitches. You've just spent a lot of time creating this gorgeous embroidery. Please, please do not take your iron and go directly on the stitches. A hot iron on satin stitches, and if you can't see it, Nancy and I can certainly feel they have been crushed, just flattened. This is just an example of what not to do. Now we have a couple samples here, not just a terry towel, which is very easily available. But one thing I do like to use is a felted wool in a neutral color, and your bath towels should also be a neutral color. You don't want any dye from this padded fabric to leach into your embroidery.
So we place the embroidery side down on a matte surface, not a matte surface, but a napped surface.
Something soft to support the stitches.
And iron away, or press
give
away.
It a press.
So press from the wrong side over a napped fabric, a terry towel, and you will preserve the beauty of your embroidery. During this segment on Nancy's Corner, we're going to learn how kids from pre-K to 6 are learning about sewing through the library. And with me is our librarian, Leslie Travis. Leslie, you're a librarian, have been for many years in Chicago.
Right. We're on the south side of Chicago. We are so excited this year because some of our children live in the same zip code as President Barack Obama. We're about a mile south of his house. Our students are a rainbow coalition drawn from Chicago's population. We have Hispanics, blacks, whites, Asians. They're economically diverse as well, and everybody gets along.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful mixture, not only in culture, but also in education, because you've incorporated sewing into the library curriculum.
I have. As a librarian, it's my job to let people know that they can learn to do just about anything they want to teach themselves if they can read. And I use sewing as an entry point for showing that. I use other things too, but I have found that children's enthusiasm for sewing is just a wonderful entry into learning how to teach yourself to learn what you need to know how to do.
Reading a pattern, following the instructions, and then applying it tactily.
Right. It's a multidisciplinary approach to learning.
Now you have 6 sewing machines in the library, and you've incorporated people from the community to assist with you.
Right. We have a lot of people who will come in and help us. We have a gentleman who's a parent of former students who's a sewing machine repairman, and he is very concerned that our sewing club know how to repair and maintain their own machines. So he comes in and works with the girls and makes sure that they know how to oil and not over oil, and clean but not over clean, and thread and troubleshoot machines so that they'll be able to do it at home.
I think when you expressed to me that social studies and your sewing club work together.
Right. People have been sewing for thousands of years, and when you teach children about history, it makes a lot more sense to them if they actually know by doing what people used to do that they're used to reading about. So we do use sewing as a supplement to learning about social studies and history and economics. It's a beautiful way to do a cross-disciplinary approach to studying something.
And he's a very handsome young gentleman making a flag from Greece.
Right. This was part of a social studies unit that a 3rd grade was doing, and they had to come up with a flag to hang in the cafeteria, and they didn't want to just use crayon or cut out pieces of paper and glue them on. They actually wanted to make a flag. And they knew we had sewing machines in the library. So they came down and said, "Can we sew this here?" And I said, "Yes." "Have you used a sewing machine before?" And they said, "No." And I said, "Okay, so we'll learn how to use a sewing machine and you'll make your flag."
And the teacher learned too.
The teacher has, for 19 years, been looking at these machines, saying when he was 8, he sewed through a finger on a sewing machine, and they're scary. And when he came down and saw his kids sewing, they got him to sit down and do it.
A cute picture of them working together.
Oh, yeah.
But after school, you also teach the traditional fashion line, or people, young girls can make things for themselves, young guys can too.
Yeah, a lot of these kids come from homes where there's not a needle, there's not thread, their mothers don't sew, they don't have sewing machines, and they know that they are going to be fashion designers. They know that they want to sew. So we have an after-school sewing club where I teach sewing. It's great.
These young girls in their cute skirts are just warm your heart.
Oh, they took jeans and flannel shirts and matched the colors, matched the patterns, decided what they were going to do, and made their skirts. And it's the first time they've made anything to wear. They did this without a pattern, but using sewing skills that they had already mastered in the sewing club.
Well, Leslie, it's very encouraging to see how you've integrated sewing into the curriculum of your school from pre-K to 6th grade. And we'll learn more about Leslie's enterprising sewing career not maybe career, but integrating as we learn next time on our Nancy's Corner how she has a mending club. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program, and we hope that you will join us. Bye for now.
Nancy and Kate Bashinsky have written a fully illustrated book entitled Top 12 Embroidery Tips, which includes all the information from this two-part series. It's $14.99 plus shipping and handling. To order the book, call 800-336-8373 or visit our website at sewingwithnancy.com/2310. Order item number BK2310, Top 12 Embroidery Tips. Credit card orders only. To pay by check or money order, call the number on the screen for details. Visit Nancy's website at sewingwithnancy.com for more information on this program. Sewing with Nancy, TV's longest airing sewing and quilting program with Nancy Zieman, is made possible by Baby Lock, Madeira Threads, Koala Cabinets, Clover, Amazing Designs, and Class A Needles. Closed captioning funding provided by Rowenta. Sewing with Nancy is a co-production of Nancy Zieman Productions and Wisconsin Public Television.